So in life, you have to make choices, and depending on what you choose will determine whether you win or lose. So what's the most important resource that you have, which you will always lose? It is time. So if you spend your time invested in doing something, well, I'm talking traditional window cleaning. If you invest your time in something, it's better to get better results in less time, because that will allow you to spend less time working, earning more money in that time period, and going off and enjoying yourself, whatever you want to be doing outside of work. Because life really is for living, not for working. So the main reason why I get a lot of resentment from either other YouTube window cleaners, and other YouTube window cleaners have a much bigger following than me, and with that following results in a bigger ego, and with a bigger ego you tend to have a more fragile nature. Now I'm not interested in being popular, because if I was, I wouldn't be doing and talking about the things that I talk about. But I like to be straightforward, upfront, and as honest as possible, and being like more of the voice of reason rather than just fluff. Also, I annoy and aggravate other window cleaning manufacturers, the Wagtails, the Sorbos, the Eteres, the Ungers, the Pulexes, regarding their traditional tools, because I just highlight basically all the imperfections that all these tools have, and which will result in you working longer, harder, slower, and getting less results. Now, there's many subjects that I could talk about in terms of the manufacturers, especially the Wagtails and the Sorbos, because they're actually manufacturers that were window cleaners, and the reason why their tools are the way they are is because they were designed by the way that these guys like to work. Now, in my opinion, both how they work is something that I wouldn't recommend doing, but one guy has a lot more skill than the other guy. And I don't need to mention who is the guy who's got more skill and what tools are generally better to use. Well, in terms of better to use, I wouldn't want to use any of the tools these days, but one guy has more skills than the other guy. One guy is like a complete, I wouldn't, no one in their right mind would ever want to work how one of these manufacturers who design squeegees for, in terms of how he suggests to work, get more work done in less time. That is the way you do not definitely want to be working or using those tools. But anyway, the subject that I want to talk about is working 2 or 3 times quicker than the local window cleaners. Now, I made a video 3 years ago where I stated how I can easily outperform, get more work done, working 2, 3 or more times quicker than these local window cleaners. And it's not hard at all to be 2 or 3 times quicker than these guys, which I'll outline in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to talk about, I've got some notes here so I don't actually forget what I wanted to say. So when I first started window cleaning, I was a traditional window cleaner, and that was 2008. And what you find is, especially when you're watching YouTube window cleaners, they start traditional window cleaning, they talk highly of it, and because they're not versed in water-fed pole, they kind of snub the water-fed pole, and then they get into water-fed pole, and then you find that they become really enthusiastic about the water-fed pole. And also they diversify, do roof cleaning, gutter cleaning, driveway cleaning, which is all good. Yeah, adding more strings to your bow is great. But the problem is when you buy these pieces of equipment that allow you to potentially earn more money, you have to fork out a lot of money, and also you have to learn how to use it the best way. And sometimes you can make mistakes, ruin jobs, potentially cost you money, or potentially cost you your life if you're working on a roof or using dangerous chemicals. Now, the only chemical that I'm going to be using most of the time is dish soap. That's it. And think of the cost of dish soap. So what I concentrated on doing primarily was becoming as good as I could using traditional tools. Now I soon realised that all the tools that I was using before these liquidators and accelerators came to the market, they were all making me work longer, harder, slower than what I expected to get out of them. So I, started modifying tools, and then, I said to a company, I said, look, I've got this great idea for this exceptional squeegee. It's going to be the most adaptable, most versatile, most efficient and effective. And eventually one company took my ideas on board and we went with it. Now the only reason why these tools are the way they are is because I was working a particular way. How Wagtail works, his tools were developed around his skills, and how Sawbo works, those tools were developed by how he worked. And you can see there's a few big differences, the way they work and the way I work, and the tools how these perform and the tools how they perform. And then you've got the Etuays and the Pulexes and the Ungas, who are not made primarily by window cleaners, they're just made by people working in an office, designers, not window cleaners. So I took window cleaning to the next level, and there's pros and cons, but I just concentrated on traditional window cleaning. Where you find most window cleaners on YouTube, eventually they come away from the window cleaning or traditional window cleaning, they go into Waterford Polzn solely, or they start doing these other, let's say, bigger paying jobs like driveways, that kind of thing. But I found, being very resourceful with the way that I work using traditional tools, I can make a lot more money compared to how I either used to work or how these other guys worked, just by being more sophisticated and using better performing tools. And it's not just squeegee tools, which I'll talk about very soon. But cleaning windows the most efficiently and effective way is always the best thing to do, because it's about time. How much time you're spending on the job will determine how much money you're earning and how much enjoyment you can get out of your work, because you can finish work a lot earlier, earn more money, and do things that you perhaps would rather be doing rather than working. So let's go back to my notes. I think I've covered that. Yeah, so I took window cleaning the traditional route and became an expert at it, so I didn't have to rely on buying all these expensive other ways of making money, like tools, investing tools, bigger vans, doing more dangerous things like working on roofs, working with dangerous chemicals. I don't have to do that because I can make bigger margins with my traditional window cleaning. But then again, if it's bad weather, then I'm a little bit more restricted. But I've got so much work that I'm always able to do something somewhere in a dry place when it comes to doing traditional work. So really the weather doesn't really affect me whatsoever. But that's about being more in demand. It's a different subject altogether. Okay, so going on to the subjects of changing ways of working, becoming quicker, and making bold statements saying, I'm 3-4 times quicker than these average window cleaners. Some people on YouTube took offence to that, and they were making comments on the comment section from other window cleaners, and they're just saying how ridiculous my statements were. Now these guys are ignorant. They're ignorant because they just think one-dimensional, whereas I'm thinking 10-dimensional, and I'll talk about 10-dimensional in a sec. But they're thinking one-dimensional because they're just thinking, well, zero detailing is not going to make you 3 times quicker, and they're right, it won't. But they're not looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is what these local window cleaners have is every single one that I know, they all work one-handed. Number one, they're working half the speed what they should be working, because everyone's got 2 hands, and all the people that are working on my estate are working one-handed. Then they're working with 1 or 2 size squeegees, fits all. Then they're working with a washer, and they're putting soap in their water bucket, and that's it. That's their window cleaning. They've got a belt They have a bucket on the belt. Some of them don't even have a bucket on the belt. They've got a load of cloths. They've got a pouch or two, and that's it. So I've got many more things, like 10 or more things going in my favour, including, or an additional, let's say, zero detailing. So zero detailing is just one aspect that's going to make me add it all up together. It's going to make me a lot quicker than these other guys. Now let's just talk about this gate. Now if I got a carpenter, this is actually a metal gate, but let's just say it needed fixing it and it was a wooden gate. I call a carpenter and he comes and does the job, and he's got to screw everything back in, and he's got a screwdriver and he's busy screwing away like this, working longer, harder, slower, getting less results. If I called the other carpenter who has all the power tools and he was just zapping each screw out and putting each screw in, just zip, 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 all the way through his work, getting through his work much quicker, what would you say would be the better way of working? So I suppose there's a little bit of a skill element using power tools, but it's not as much as being able to work accurately, precisely, slow down instead of working like a speed demon, putting the squeegee in the right place at the right time. That is one reason why window cleaners cannot adapt and use these tools, and they just say these tools are utter rubbish. And then the other thing is, they don't use these window cleaners in the street that I work with, in and around the areas that I work. The guys on YouTube, primarily, they're working the old traditional way of working. Now, it's all good about being traditional, because I'm a traditional window cleaner, but I'm only interested in being a new style trad window cleaner. And that means I've got to change many things, and that means I'm not using a solution that's going to make me work longer, harder, slower, give me less results. I've added soap to this window here. I'm using the soap solution that's straight away going to transform my skills and ability, straight away, and it will transform anyone's skill and ability straight away. So that's another thing that I've got that these other window cleaners don't have. Then I've got scrubbers. Most of these window cleaners just have a washer. They use the washer as a scrubber, and they're busy working longer, harder, slower, getting less results. I've got two scrapers, one for the pole, one for the hand. Maybe one or two have a scraper, the rest don't. They're all like old school window cleaners. Like the guys on YouTube like really shine through compared to these local window cleaners. But you know, most of the time I'm saying negative, or not negative, but I'm highlighting how they're working compared to how I work and how I suggest you should be working, because even they are still stuck in the Stone Age, using Stone Age tools, but they make these local window cleaners look like cavemen, how they work. So my competition is not the traditional window cleaners in terms of speed and effectiveness and efficiency. I'm more comparing myself with the speed that water-fed pole window cleaners get. This is why a lot of traditional window cleaners move over to water-fed pole, or diversify and do other types of cleaning, because they can find they can make more money doing other things. Whereas I found if I concentrated on using just cheap tools, very inexpensive, the margins are huge, I can make much more money doing this, what I'm doing, than I would ever do cleaning a roof. Because cleaning a roof, first of all, I've got to learn how to do it. I've got to buy the right chemicals, I've got to buy the right equipment. I want to be as safe as possible, so I'm going to have to buy extra equipment like scaffolding. And then I've got to work really hard and dangerous to earn more money. Whereas I can just, most of my work's all ground floor level. I can easily work with my eyes closed. These tools are great if you're blind, because you don't just get to see what you're doing, you get to feel what you're doing. You just get to feel the squeegee doing the job without even looking. And it does a fantastic job. Zero detail, zero mistakes. All I did was put the squeegee in the right place at the right time and feel my way around that frame. So quite often in my videos I say I can clean the windows quicker with my eyes closed, because I can. Not only quicker, but more effective, more efficiently, and just better effect. The results are just, well, you can't get better than zero detail, zero mistake, can you? That's the pinnacle of traditional window cleaning and water-fed pole window cleaning, getting perfect results. And unfortunately with water-fed pole, you got more chance of never achieving the perfect results every time. So a few more things. So what else do I have that these other window cleaners don't have? I have knowledge, I have skills, I have the right size tool for the right size pane of glass, and then I've got the right type of technique for the right type of frame that I'm working with. So if this frame was difficult to work on, I would come down the window, because that is the best way of working on that particular window. But actually this window is an easy window to work on, so I'm going to go for a minimum move, get the windows cleaned. Obviously it takes a lot more skill without getting the mistakes, but I can travel my squeegee less. These guys did work like robots. The guys on YouTube, you got to separate Tradman. I don't really know of any other window cleaner that is versatile and adaptable and skillful as Tradman, so apologies if I'm missing you out. But most window cleaners, they work robotically. They don't adapt, they don't evolve, they never improve, and they're stagnant. They're always stagnant. So yeah, okay, so I mentioned about the washers. They only have the washer to scrub. What do I have? I have the wash and I have the scrub. I've got a bit of dirt. I'm doing it with one hand here. I'm working one-handed. There we go, we're going away. What else do I have that these guys don't have? This is the window. Let's just clean both windows here. First of all, I want to say I've got extra tools that they don't carry. Look how many tools I'm carrying. You might think it's like weighing me down or it's a bit excessive, but every tool that I use pretty much on every job that I do. I want to clean these frames very quickly, get all this dirt, dust, debris off. Just a cheap dustpan and brush. Now, putting the tool in the right place at the right time, getting zero detail results. Controlling my solution at all times. Putting the squeegee in the right place at the right time. Making minimum moves. Getting the most effectiveness out of the squeegee. If I was comparing myself to a water-fed pole guy cleaning these windows, I'm getting this done a lot quicker. Not any quicker, but the effect is better because I've got these instant results. And if I can see a mistake, you know, obviously you've got to notice the mistake, but I can rectify that with my tool and technique. Whereas if you're doing water-fed pole, you've got to hope that when you leave, because you're not going to wait around for that window to dry, you've got to hope that's going to dry without any residue left behind. So, adding all these things up, scrub gloves, right size tool, right type of technique, better solution, better knowledge, better skills, extra tools that help me reach. You know, I've got cobwebs up here, I can't reach, so I'm going to use my extendable, what's that, 99p. And this is what things that Mormons should be adapting and making better so they perform better, instead of going down to the 99p shop and buying tools that should be there for the window cleaner to make them work on the next level, getting the work done in the quickest amount of time. So I could go on and on, but being 2, 3 or more times quicker than these local window cleaners is definitely achievable, even if you're just starting window cleaning. But you've got to start with the best foundation to work on, and then use the best performing tools. And there's only very select tools that work. And I've got only, you know, high performing tools, but there's many different sizes, because there's many different size windows that I'm working on, and I want to cut all my extra time that will take any other window cleaner down to the minimal amount, earn as much money as possible, spend as least money on chemicals, on expensive equipment, make a much bigger margin when it comes to earning money. You go out to work to earn money. You want that margin to be as profitable as possible. And I've developed a way of working using traditional cheap tools that makes that margin much bigger.